Yeah.
All right. We are, I don't know what we are. What's the name of our that thing? What we name ourselves?
Podcast.
The podcast.
Podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, the podcast where we are inspiring entrepreneurs and real estate investors.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, so I guess, so I'll introduce myself, Craig Poston, and my awesome compadre here,
Yeah.
We got Jay Peters.
Yeah.
All right. So, well, we'll get started. I guess our title being Just Start. That is our title, right?
Yeah. Just start, man.
Yeah, I guess I just need to start this podcast.
Right.
So
great example.
Yeah, and I guess in that sense that is a great example because this is something I've been talking about for a long time. The one to get it started. Plus, my wife the same way. She's like, yeah, you need to start one. Because like I'm talking to her and I could tell that she's tired of me talking to her. So she's like, you need to talk to other people.
Right.
So this is this is a good way to reach other people.
I fully agree. I definitely agree because I of course you and I we listen to podcasts all the time. So and that's kind of what sparked it, right? Is me listening to a bunch of different podcasts and what they put out. I feel like I have input myself, right? And I'm like, dang, I'm just talking to myself in my car or to the podcast. I'm like, dang, it doesn't feel the same. But of course, meeting you through work and stuff, having those conversations, and I'm like, dang, I feel like I'm not saying other people need to hear it, but I think it would be good dialogue for people to hear, especially from just regular people, little 9 to 5s, just starting out on something, right? Where I feel like it may be a little bit more relatable to others, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's a good opinion because there are a lot of people out there that probably thinking the same thing we're thinking. Hey, I want to put out some content. I want people to understand where I'm coming from, or you're knowing that you have to pull yourself up from the bottom, pretty much. A lot of us, our families didn't come from money, so we literally had to force ourselves to do things to make sure we get ahead. And and I guess it still comes down to the title, get started, because it's always something, regardless if it's school, you got to get started. Starting a new job, you just got to get started. Regardless of what you're going to do, you got to get started and keep going. Start investing, start risking a little bit more, not being so conservative. That's all part of it, that growing process. And that's the funny thing about growing is it always feels funny. It's never comfortable. Growing up.
Comfort is the enemy of growth, man.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I'm trying to get myself to that point where I am comfortable with being uncomfortable, and I'm okay with the growth, regardless of like how it makes me feel. So and that's the same thing with investing. A lot of times, I've never put out so much money. If I save up $5,000 and I invest it all, that's different for me because that's I guess coming from where I come from, you put up that enough money, that amount of money that you're it probably took a lot to save that, or I don't know. I'm just going off of like how I felt when I was younger. If I had that amount of money, I was kind of holding on to it, regardless of what I got it from. I don't care if it was a tax refund or a school refund or whatever, So
even younger, right? Like birthday party money or whatever it was. I guess depending on like, of course, your background and stuff. I think you and I come from like similar, at least financial backgrounds. Is that when you grow up without, right, or with a lack of money, right? Not necessarily incredibly broke or poor or anything, but even middle class, right? When you grow up without something and then you have that, it's really hard to let it go, right? Because you want to hold it as much as possible, or you feel more comfortable having that thing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then whether that's, just spending money, right, or investing money, it still feels the same. Like emotionally, like you still feel hard to really let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could be, kind of, we've talked about it before, that scarcity mindset. Because you haven't had it before, and you like, I don't know if I'll get it again. Even though you can get it again, it's just like, it's deep in you, and it says, hey, will you get this again?
No, that's definitely a huge thing. Scarcity is huge. And yeah, like you said, we've had conversations about that. And like, one of my biggest things is that going forward from me and then to my future generations, I don't want that for them, right? I don't want them to feel like money is a commodity that cannot be earned easily or is hard to attain, right? I want them to look at it as a tool, right? The same way a person looks at a hammer or a screwdriver, right? That's a tool, right? No matter how big or how small that hammer is, or how big or small your bank account is, right? That's all it is for. It's for a tool to give you some sort of opportunity or leg up on something, right? It's not necessarily the end all be all, right? So the same way I don't put a hammer on a pedestal, I'm not going to put money on a pedestal, right? Yeah. Because it only provides value because we give it value, right? Or we value it at a certain amount. And I think from a scarcity standpoint is that we do put it on a pedestal, right? We think that is the end all be all. We think that money is some way going to bring us happiness because for whatever reason we were unhappy without it. So we try to do the overcorrection or think the grass is greener on the other side because those people have money and they may seem happier, but that's not necessarily the truth, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Because growing up, no, I would say I used to save my allowance because I used to get allowance every now and again. I didn't get it all the time, but I got it, for doing odds and ends around the house or whatever. And I think I learned at that age how to save. And I think that also because no one in my family were investors, they thought it was okay. I'm hoarding money. Yeah. And in a sense, but like you said, it's a tool. It should be, you should teach your children how to use it instead of hoarding it, because hoarding it doesn't do anything, especially with inflation. It just gets eaten up because as time goes on. Yeah. I mean, obviously we can tell from our parents, when they said something costs a quarter and now that same thing costs $2, so like, yeah. So, things have changed, so you can't use that same dollar. Yeah.
I definitely agree. And yeah, like you said, right, what at least you and I learned from our parents is that, saving the money and not necessarily, investing it or seeing growth with it, right? Just hoarding it, in your words, right? And that's true, right? That's what we learned, right? And since, the schools or public schools and institutions, they don't teach finances to that specific level, right? I know there are classes nowadays about it, but I think it's also taught to a demographic that's not exactly at that mental maturity or just life maturity to fully appreciate or understand those concepts, whether that's budgeting, investing, different ways to invest, right? What fits you, what fits your lifestyle, what do you want to do, right, in the future? But yeah, it's money's it's so funny because a lot of people have money problems, but money doesn't fix money problems. Right?
That is a for sure thing. Because regardless of how much money you give somebody, if they haven't fixed that first thing of how to use the money, then they're going to be in the same situation, just with bigger debts, bigger problems. I mean, even though, like I said before, that I knew how to save, I always knew something was wrong. All right, because I would have money saved up, and I would eat my own money. As I don't know if you ever read the book Richest Man in Babylon. How he said you eat your own children, and that's basically what he's talking about, the money. And I would always spend my money out of my savings because I'm covering something that I miscalculated in my checking. And without learning how to properly, use money, then you're gonna always mess up with the savings, And then that was another thing. I didn't know what to do with my savings. I didn't know. Yeah, I was like, I got a savings account with money in it. Well, what do I do with it?
You just keep it in there, man.
And then learning over time that, you're supposed to have a bucket just for reserves, and then you leave that alone. Then you got a bucket just for investing. You got a bucket for something else that you might want to buy or whatever. And then you got your checking account, which you can use take your everyday bills out of it. It took me a minute to finally get that. And then I guess I figured it out after being in the military, moving around and grabbing different bank accounts. And I was like, what am I doing with these bank accounts? I'm going to use them.
But going back to what you said about the richest man in Babylon. No, I haven't read it. I don't read very little to never. I am about to get an Audible account to actually start doing that. Really, hopefully that'll help expand my mind, because really all I really listen to is podcasts. And honestly, I love podcasts. Like a few podcasts I listen to are one's called Serendipity with Inky Johnson. Another one is the Secret to Success podcast with E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. But and those have definitely not just expanded my mind intellectually, but just given me more thoughts, right? Or opened my mind and exposed me to different schools of thought. I definitely enjoy that. And then another thing was that, so kind of going back to how you were saying that you would, kind of move your money from your savings to your checking, just kind of pay off stuff, right? Because you miscalculated. And someone said this, it was, they use their 9-to-5 job, right? Not to pay off liabilities, but to buy assets that will then those will pay for their liabilities, right? I thought it was just a interesting concept because, like I said, we're not really taught that, in schools or depending on where you come from in life in general, from your family or anything, right? You're just told, go get a paycheck so you can pay off your car, pay off your house, pay off your loans, right? And then save, not necessarily do anything about it, but, just keep in that rat race or in that circle or cycle of life where you're just kind of working to live, right? Which, as we know, isn't a healthy way to do things.
No, because you got to free the mind, right? So when you're worried about less, you can free your mind. So you can actually make better plans. You can plan trips for your family. You can do so many different things that because you can try to create more time in your life. And I think that's that part of you were saying about using the job as an asset. Another thing that I've I guess from Robert Kiyosaki, saying you don't use the job for money, use the job for experience. And that was, to me, was a great way to look at stuff. So I'm never stressed out about losing a job, because the job was never meant for me to pay my bills. It was meant for me to gain my experience. And it's such a better way, because I remember being younger, and you're stressed about losing a job. But why would I be at a younger age stressed about losing a job when I can easily go get another job because I'm younger, right? And usually the job at the time when you're young isn't usually a super high paying, awesome job. So but the thing is, when listening to how he said it, and because he was basically saying Rich Dad taught him that way, you use the job for experience, you don't use the job for your bills. Now, I mean, yes, you pay your bills, but that's not the point of the job. Yeah. So they kind of enlightened me there.
No, that was great, man. I gotta listen to the book because I'm not gonna read it. But that's great, because I definitely agree with that. Using your job for experience and not just a paycheck, right? While that's what you're going to receive, and I feel like people should receive what they're worth. There's always another position out there for you, especially with that experience that you gain. Or you can always get another job, right? But like you said, even at a young age, I thought the same, right? When I actually did lose a job a couple times because I remember like my first job, right? The store that I was working at closed down, and I was like, oh shoot, what am I going to do, right? But I was like 16, right? I was still living with my parents, still in high school, so I didn't take it incredibly serious. But no, I still felt it. I was like, dang, what am I going to do, without the money, and without realizing at that time, me personally, I did not need that money, but I fully enjoyed the experiences I received from that job, and then carrying on to other positions going forward.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely it put me on a different wavelength, I think. So I guess one of the things that you're probably going to end up building from our podcast is reading books. You got to learn how to read more books.
I don't know about reading books, listening to the books. There you go.
And the craziest thing, if you're a busy person, a lot of these books nowadays are either on Audible or even YouTube. Like people have already put them on YouTube as an Audible.
I know Rich Dad Poor Dad's on YouTube, and I've definitely listened to like parts of that. Not the specific part you were talking about, but I've definitely listened to a good chunk of it. But I'm definitely gonna get more into books because now I need more stuff to talk about. In order to bring up those examples, right? So I can't have you showing me up right there.
I mean, but that's what I do though. Like I've been, I don't think I was a big reader. Also, and I've been changing that even regardless. So say before bed at night, I would at least try to read 15 to 30 minutes. 15 minutes only if I'm tired. 30 minutes or more if I'm like, oh, I'm not going to bed anytime soon. Let me just go ahead and read a couple of chapters just or something like that. Yeah. So right now. So I don't know if you ever heard of the book. I won't say you read it. Heard of the book. What is it? And now I can't Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Yeah. All right. So that is on Audible on YouTube for free. So and so I've read that book, and then I also listened to it on Audible. I'm reading another book now. It's called Think and Grow Rich, and it's thinking I wish I brought the book downstairs. It's called Think and Grow Rich: A Black Choice, and in this one, it basically gives a lot of examples throughout history where Black people have came from the bottom, literally the bottom, ex-slaves, all that, and have created wealth, became very famous people, all these different things. And basically it was trying to show that a lot of times it's everything you do is mental, and it's faith, and it's what you want to do, regardless of what people say or do or try to, because your family, your friends, anybody, people will try to tell you to do, you might be doing the wrong thing because it's something that they've never done, or it feels uncomfortable to them, And a book like this actually kind of puts that out front, especially when a lot of these people had to fight against a lot of adversity to get their wealth, and that's the thing. You don't always hear about them. I mean, they are famous people, but you don't always hear about their struggles and everything that they do. Yeah. So, and that's, and I guess that's the same thing all with getting started. And it's a mental attitude. You got to get in there, do what you want to do, and keep moving forward.
Yeah, no. Going back to just getting started, right? The kind of theme of this specific episode. I feel like a lot of people, they, at least for me personally, I think too much, right? And especially as I was growing up and as I was younger, right? I would literally, when I would wake up, I'm like, dang, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and then I would just literally just lay there. Like I knew I had to get ready for work or go to the gym or do whatever it was. But I thought about it, and I literally just kept laying there thinking about it. And it would just take up so much time, right? And I think a lot of people just need to kind of quiet the noise, whether that's your internal noise or the noise of others, right? Just kind of follow and kind of go through the motions, right? Like I no longer have to wake up and think about going to the gym, right? I just put on the clothes, I go into the garage, and I just start lifting the weights, right? I don't contemplate like, dang, I got to do legs today. Don't really feel like it or anything, right? I kind of just, go through the motion and kind of get it started, right? And I remember you and I were kind of talking about, we were talking about houses and electricity in general. But I think that the concept kind of carries over is that you need more energy to start things, right? Or like in the case of a house, right, your appliances, they actually pull more energy when they first are starting, right? Whether that's your HVAC system, your washer, your dryer, your oven, all those things, it takes a lot of energy to start it. But when it starts, right, it doesn't take as much, right? And I think that's in life, that's like those habits that you build, right? So kind of think of it like, so going back to working out, right, where you kind of just wake up, just do it, right? People think that, or many people think that that habit may be hard to kind of start, right? But what's crazy to me is that people wake up and brush their teeth every morning, right? But they don't really think about it, right? Because it's so habitual that they've done it so often that they just keep doing it, right? That I think people need to get more into the theme of doing other tasks in the same habitual way, where it just becomes muscle memory, right? Where they do it whether they feel like it or they don't, right? I'm always going to brush my teeth like right in the morning, right? I'm always going to take a shower, right? I'm always going to like wash my face and do whatever. But I feel like because there's no emotion attached to those specific tasks, right? Because whether I'm sad or happy or upset, I'm still going to brush my teeth, right? But for some reason, when like people will only work out when they're happy, right, or when they have the energy for it, right? But they don't seem to want to work out when they're upset, or when it's cold outside, or when it's blazing hot outside, right? It seems like all these external portions or external variables take over instead of them just doing the task that they were supposed to do. But I don't know if you have. I'm sure you have some sort of similar type of concept.
Yeah, no, because even going to the working out portion, because what I've it was a podcast I was listening to, and it was actually, they said it perfectly. If it's you're ready to get ready, if you're getting up to do something, just do the 1, 2, 3, go, and just, or you just count, and then when you do you get to 3 or whatever, or count down, you just go, you get up and you move. And I think that's the same thing, like you said, that energy, it's that momentum. Once you make it a habit, like brushing your teeth. Brush your teeth has become such a natural habit. It has been enforcing us since we were kids. If exercise was the same way, then we probably would do the same thing before we come home to brush our teeth, we make sure we go exercise, because it would be part of our daily ritual. But yeah, habits is it's the hardest thing to break and the hardest thing to form at the same time, I would say, because unless it's a bad habit that it's created by some type of other receptor, right? Something, it has to give you some kind of reinforcement to make you want to do it, to become a new habit. So another thing from some of the podcasts I listened to, and they were talking about how the best way to start a habit is to lessen the friction. So you would place, so say you would want to work out, you would probably set your clothes up ahead of schedule, or have it already laid out. So as soon as the alarm goes off, you hop out of bed, you put your clothes on, go brush your teeth, and then you take off. It's like you got to do something, put something in front of you to make sure that it's going to be easy. Because I've noticed that, and I tried it myself. Same thing as like leaving a book next to the bed to make sure I read it at night. One thing I didn't do, I was going to start doing, was actually leave myself a checklist before bed checklist. Because I try to do sit-ups right before bed too. So I try to knock a couple of things out, man. And that's what I was thinking. Hey, maybe I should do a checklist, and this way I'll never forget it, since I want to do it. Yeah. And so that's basically what you're talking about with the working out. I think forming a habit would actually make it easier. But like you said, that energy that you start in the beginning, it is hard. It's just like me helping my son with reading. And I was, I let him know that it's hard right now is because your brain is your brain is like a muscle. And just like how he likes to work out, he's 6, by the way. He likes to work out. Yeah. So I'm like, it's the same thing with your brain. You got to exercise your brain. The first time you read, it's rough. Yes. The next time you read, it gets a little bit better. And that's basically what he's noticing, because he actually got pretty excited that we found a book that he can actually read. Maybe not completely by himself, but he, majority by himself, because he started to realize that the words that we were showing him were words that are going to help you, So it's always that thing, that first initial step, that person is always hard.
No, I definitely agree. Whether that's, trying to start or, starting in general. But even after that, right? Like, I think a lot of people started, right? The New Year just came by, right? And, a lot of people are starting the New Year goals, like you and I were talking about too, right? We got some New Year goals, whether they're, measurable or immeasurable goals. I think a lot of people like the feeling of starting, right? Because everyone's doing it, right? Like I said, New Year's, everyone's hitting the gym, right? But I think they still lack whether that's discipline or habit, right? To continue what they started, right? So like I said, right, like a car, like a house, right? It takes a lot more energy to start, right? So if I'm talking about a car, it takes a lot more energy to start an engine, right? But when that tank starts going lower, right, and it starts hitting E, right? If you don't fill it with something, right, whether that's I guess for most people it's some sort of motivation, right? Whether that's it's going back to working out, right, or just general health, people getting that cheat meal, right? That kind of fills their energy up a little bit, gives them a little bit more motivation to continue that specific diet or nutrition, or those rest days, right? Or they kind of relax a little bit, try to fill that tank so that when they hit the gym the next week, it feels better. But I don't know, man, like I've definitely had probably more problems just starting rather than continuing, right? I think at some point if I stop for like a certain amount of time, like say if I stop going to the gym for, sorry, my bad, for like 3 days, I'm like, man, the gym's not worth it anymore, right? Or another one was like, when I was trying to learn Spanish like a couple years ago, right? I had like a good streak going on, right? I would do it like every day. I did it for like, I think it was like 90 days or 100 days. And then for some reason I just stopped, right? I don't know why. I think I was just like incredibly busy. I just stopped going onto the app and started doing it. And it was like a few days passed and it just became demotivated that I lost all that progress, right? And maybe that's what it was. The progress that I was seeing faded away, right? Or it seemed like it was like that. Like everything I had done was almost for nothing, because I didn't have that streak.
Yeah. So, I know exactly what you're talking about. I think what we have to do is we have to fill it with a purpose after that. So it's like basically once you're rolling, now you got to a point where, okay, all right, the motivation is fading. Now you got to have a real reason. That's the reason why they say not to fill yourself with false motivations, and which is kind of crazy, because sometimes it helps someone to get to where they need to go. But having a true purpose. So say if you're working out, right? If your purpose is to stay healthy, you have a greater purpose than trying to, look good
aesthetic.
Look good for your spouse or look good for pictures or the beach or whatever, because that's temporary. And I guess with Spanish, if you found a different purpose to use it, if you like, hey, I'm gonna go on this 60-day trip to Spain or to Mexico or whatever, right? Like you have more of a reason, a better purpose, because once you get over there, you'll be able to use that language. And I mean that's the thing too, also reading in the book, one of the things it was talking about is having enthusiasm, right? Having crazy enthusiasm about what it is that you want to learn. So like and it made sense because like I'm interested in IT, right? But that's not enough to make me learn all this dry material in the book. So what I have to do is become enthusiastic about it. It was like, well, if I learn this, then I'll be able to do this. And then like you make yourself really excited, you know? Yeah. So then you're able to keep learning, and then you learn more, and you force yourself to learn even more because it's all feeding into that same interest, you know? So that's why I try to come up with these projects with my daughter. But we're failing right now because like I'll get started on Python, and then I take a break from it, you know, and I start doing something else. So like what I need to do is like get to a point where I'm like just constantly hammering it out to a point where I can actually develop my own code so we can build this drone or robot that we're trying to build, you know. So
yeah, no, that's it makes sense because and something I heard was, you know, a lot of people focus, like you said, on the moment, right? But I think what they should focus more on is the process, right? Because like you said, that moment is incredibly temporary, right? You know, whether that's a good or bad moment, right? You know, whether you're happy because you got a raise or you got praised for something, or say you got a degree, you got a certification, or, you know, whether you're upset about something, those moments are incredibly temporary, but the process that you take every day, whether that's like, say, getting a degree, right? You took a process to learn consistently, right? And I think that should continue after the degree, right? So don't just think that because you have a degree, because you have that piece of paper, that moment that you've gotten somewhere, or that you've earned a way to no longer have to learn, right? I feel like people like in that specific way should learn more, or should continue to learn, whether that it's attached to that piece of paper or not.
Yeah. No, I guess, and where it comes from is, you know, when you finish high school, you're thinking, okay, this is the end. But then I got college, and then you're like, okay, all right, well, this is the end. You think that, yeah, and every time you go like, okay, this is the end. And then when you realize that no, life is an endless learning process and it never stops. And you might as well jump on the bandwagon of learning and just keep it going. You know? Yeah. So yeah, that's how I had to change my mentality. And so I'm trying to push that into my kids. Like, hey, that if you want to succeed in life, you gotta like keep learning. And it's no matter what, because you never know. One day, you know, you may just go like, I don't want IT. I want to do something else. I want to own several restaurants. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to build, you know, I want to learn how to build bridges. You know, it doesn't matter. Like you could one day decide to change all of it. But if you're not a learner, if you're not a person with a growth mindset, then a lot of those dreams that you have won't happen. So that's how I see it. Yeah.
I will say I give praise to you for doing that for your kids, because you know, at least when you growing up, you know, it was just about school, right? Like all my parents ever wanted me to focus on was school. And granted, I did play sports. You know, I played soccer, I played basketball and stuff. But you know, everything first was school. And I think I'm not going to say stunted my growth, right? Because I'm not going to blame my parents for that. But I think it's so short-sighted and so narrow that, because I wasn't learning anything else, right? I wasn't trying to learn a trade specifically, or I wasn't trying to learn anything that wasn't inside a book or inside the institution that I was learning in. And I think, you know, letting your kids, you know, learn about different things or helping them with different aspects of learning in general is definitely great.
Yeah. I mean, so what you're talking about, yeah, my parents the same way. They, you know, just wanted me to, you know, do good in school, which I don't think they thought I was doing good. And I don't think they thought I would probably make it this far as I have. So like, they're like, I'm like, was like, I finished college. I don't think they thought I finished college. Like, hey, I'm not, prime choice. But I work hard. That's the one thing I do. Yeah. So I know who I am. So I know where to put my focus. Like I was like, okay, well, I'm a hard worker. So let me find what I know how to do, work hard at that. And then, yeah. So that's how I've adjusted my life over time. Cause only reason why I say that is because like sometimes it's like, I never felt well, and that might just been their ways though. They might not have been that type of just big and motivating me to get A's and B's and all that. I think they were happy if I passed, like I remember one time I think I had like a D in gym or something like that, or PE, yeah. And they were like, how do you get a D in PE? I was like, well, I didn't dress out, so that's what I get. That's why I think they just didn't really think that I would probably do that great. I think they knew that I was a hard worker. That's about it. But that's it. Yeah, because that was one thing. My dad kept telling me that. He's like, one thing I don't have to worry about, that you won't eat. You'll make sure that you're gonna make a living to eat, to take care of yourself. So, but I'm trying to do more than that. I want to take care of other generations, though, and then get to a point where I can take care of people outside of my family, which is actually would be an awesome thing. So that's when you made it to a certain point in your wealth where you can help affect other people that actually want to get ahead.
No, I definitely agree. Right. So like, so kind of going back to that, taking care of others, right, or looking for the well-being of others, right? Because you'll see that with most of the 1%ers, right? It's like your celebrities, whether that's LeBron, whether that's even Bill Gates or Melinda Gates, right? Where they have associations, right? They have schools or they have scholarships to help others, right? It's not just about the Gates family. It's not just about the James family, right? It's about empowering others to also become something similar or at least get a step up in life. Right? I definitely agree, right? Because while it's, most people can't even do it for their own family, right? Let alone their legacy. I think being able to do it for other people and other people's legacy is very powerful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. We've made 30 minutes. I don't know if you want to keep it going or,
I know. I mean, I'm good, man, or I'm good to continue.
Okay.
But no, I mean, if we got to cut it, we can cut it.
Yeah, I was just trying to make sure I find exactly where it is sending these recordings. That's what I'm trying to find.
I think they're in Zoom. You can probably find like an open, and it should populate what directory it's in.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna pause it.